Hello, wrestling fanatics. Welcome to this Monday night episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Lance Brock here. And not only tonight are the regular Spreaker episode, but tonight also a video version of the podcast, which will be available on the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel as well. I know it's been a little bit since I've done the video version of the podcast, but tonight's episode available both audio and video as we discuss tonight's WWE Monday Night RAW with the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring starting off tonight. And let's get right into it. Start off WWE Monday Night RAW, which was live from the XL Center in Hartford, Connecticut. Our commentators tonight, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. And we start off with the Judgment Day. The World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest, after successfully defending the world title against Jey Uso at Backlash France. Also with Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and the returning Dominic Mysterio. And Damian Priest mentions how he wasn't too happy about JD McDonough and Finn Balor getting involved in that world title match at Backlash France, but he eventually forgiven his Judgment Day brothers, and they hug it out. And we find out tonight that Finn Balor originally scheduled to be in a first round King of the Ring match against Drew McIntyre, but Drew McIntyre not medically cleared to compete tonight. So Finn Balor's just ready to assume that he is going to have a first round bye in the tournament. He's even going to have Samantha Irving announce it. But then we hear from the Raw general manager, Adam Pearce, comes out and says, yes, Drew McIntyre not able to compete tonight, but that does not mean he is going to get a bye in the tournament. But Finn Balor will still be in action, competing in a first round match against main event Jey Uso. And Pierce says, so we won't have a repeat of Backlash on Saturday, that the Judgment Day is banned from ringside. And then we had that match, and pretty good opener. And then we eventually do see the Scottish Warrior Drew McIntyre make his way from the crowd, but Jey Uso picking up the win. And McIntyre's in the ring, not too happy. And then we see in the back Drew McIntyre leave the arena, and then just seconds after Drew McIntyre leaves, we see a car pull up, and it's none other than CM Punk. He just missed Drew McIntyre. He tells Adam Pearce to play his music. He's got something to say. He goes out to the arena, says he's gonna hold tonight's Raw hostage because he wanted to fight Drew McIntyre until he comes back. He told everybody, even Pat McAfee, to get their phones out and tweet Drew McIntyre, tell him to come back to the arena, but that never happened. Drew McIntyre never made his way back to the XL Center. And then next up, we have our first round match for the Queen of the Ring tournament. Is representing Damage Control, Io Sky, taking on Natalya Neidhart. And they mentioned how Natalya was going to dedicate this to her uncle, the King of Hearts, Owen Hart, whose birthday is tomorrow. But it is Io Sky advancing, and we have another first round King of the Ring match, Ilya Dragunov taking on Ricochet. I've said it before, not really the biggest fan of Ilya Dragunov, but this match was awesome, I have to admit. Both of these guys looked great in it, and just a fantastic match. Dragunov getting the win in this one to advance, but definitely you gotta applaud both of these guys. Ricochet, the first ever WWE Speed Champion, which this Wednesday on X, new season is going to start, so I guess this is going to be a regular series. I'm not quite sure just yet, though, how they're actually going to handle it with Ricochet having the Speed Championship, whether he's going to be defending it in the tournament or if there's going to be a new championship, or who knows. But like I've said, I actually enjoy Speed. The 3-minute time limit got a quick, fast-paced, action-packed match. But back on track, and we have another Queen of the Ring match. Zoe Stark taking on Ivy Nile. And Stark gets the win here with the Z360. And next up, we have Chad Gable taking on Big Bronson Reed, which ends up in a disqualification when the WWE Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn gets involved, having a little interference in this one. And then to skip ahead later on in the night, we find out that at the King and Queen of the Ring, it will be a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn challenging or defending against both Chad Gable and Big Bronson Reed. And then we get Michael Cole in the ring with an interview with the Women's World Champion, the man, Becky Lynch. And she's interrupted by Liv Morgan. Talks about how she wants that title and how Becky Lynch only has that title because she took out Rhea Ripley. And bit of a heel turn here from Liv Morgan, and then Damage Control comes out, surrounds them. At first it looks like Liv Morgan and Becky gonna join forces. They're back to back to fight off Damage Control. But then Liv, she sneaks right out the ring. She says they're not my problem and leaves Becky by herself, a 3-on-1 attack. But then we do have Lyra Valkyria come out to make the save for Becky. And also, she just happens to be in action next in a Queen of the Ring qualifying match, taking on Dakota Kai. And this one, another good match here tonight on Raw, with Lyra Valkyria picking up the win to advance in the first round. And our main event tonight on Raw, another first round King of the Ring tournament match. Gunther taking on Sheamus. Really good main event match. here tonight. Hard-hitting match. And is Gunther defeating Sheamus, though, to advance in the first round. And that was tonight's WWE Monday Night Raw with the first round matchups of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments. So overall, I'd say I thought tonight was a pretty good episode of Raw. The start of the tournaments had some good matches and does look like, not sure when exactly, but pretty soon, of course, we're going to get the match, which I'm sure most people expected. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, even though they weren't actually on the show at the same time tonight. But it does look like we will see CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And what I see now is that Punk did mention him going to Scotland, so it is possible that we could see that match at Clash at the Castle. And also, segment I forgot to mention, we saw the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, Awesome Truth, back with the UConn, the college basketball coach, in the back. And R-Truth was talking to Adam Pearce, and he said he wanted to have a tag team title defense against the UConn Huskies. I think that's what they're called. So the Miz had to explain it to him, and the Miz said he would talk to Adam Pearce later. And before I wrap up this episode of the podcast, let's see if there's any news. And doesn't look like there's any real major news right now, but oh, yes there is actually. I just saw it. I forgot to mention, it looks like WWE has not renewed the contract of WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. His broadcast deal, what it says, so I'm guessing that he is out of the company. And I do hope that this means Jerry will stay in the business in some way. I'm not saying, oh, I think he's going to go to AEW or somewhere else, but wouldn't be surprised if he continues to work indie dates, different things like that. But definitely hope he does stay in the business somehow. And also, the legendary Nature Boy Ric Flair has learned back in his final match, he actually did suffer a legitimate heart attack during that match. And I remember at the time it was talked about because he did that spot where he kind of made it look like he actually was having a heart attack, but a lot of people thought he was faking it at the time, but turns out he actually did. And that is it for the news tonight. Thank you everyone for tuning in right here, whether you're listening to the audio version or if you're watching it on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. In the comments section down below, right here on YouTube or wherever you listen to the podcast, if they have a comment section, you can leave your thoughts on tonight's episode of WWE Monday Night Raw. Also, give me your pick about the King of the Ring tournament. for the men's and the women's. Who you think is going to advance to the finals? Who you think is going to win? Let me know your pick for this year's King of the Ring. And also, another thing I forgot to mention, I'm bad at taking notes. Sometimes I forget to put stuff in there, but we saw Kofi Kingston discussing why Xavier Woods wasn't going to be in this year's tournament and able to repeat as King of the Ring because of Gunther taking him out. But Kofi is in the tournament this year. And now, that is all this episode 596 of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the Tuesday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. So hope you all listening right now will be here as well. And until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.